Byron Donalds, and then we've got Mary Vivette, co-owner of Blue Rendezvous French Bistro. Did I say it right?
It's Marie Vivette and Blue Rendezvous.
There we go, Marie Vivette, good. And that's a bistro on Sanibel Island. And then we have Stanley Reckheimer, a resident of Fort Myers Beach. And so given that Guthrie's here, we're probably going to talk a little bit about Ian recovery today. As you know, this has been something that's been a major event for our state. And even though we were doing so much at the beginning to make sure that folks had response with the power and the rescue and food and water and all that stuff, even doing the infrastructure, we always said really from the beginning that when you have a storm of this magnitude, this is a long-term process. There's going to be things that are going to need to be done for a long period of time. So yes, we were proud to have gotten ahead of things with having over 42 linemen staged to get the power back on. When we had issues in Lee, we surged linemen from other companies to help with electrical co-op here, and we did that all throughout the state as needed. We had 5,000 Florida Guardsmen and an additional 2,000 from other states that were on site. Urban search and rescue teams, 8 of them. First time I think we had 8 for a hurricane in Florida history. We did 3.5 million meals, 1.8 million gallons of water immediately to the impacted areas. And then as you see, we see flying in the tarps for people's homes whose roofs were damaged by the storm. In the days after the storm, many folks remember, you had the images of the bridge to Pine Island being wiped out and the causeway to Sanibel being wiped out. And that's something that you can fly in people to help with the recovery. It just doesn't work. You need to get those trucks across, and then people needed to get across to be able to do what they needed to do for their families and their property. So the folks came to us and asked us if we'd be able to help because these aren't FDOT bridges or FDOT roads. So they were able to make temporary repairs to get Pine Island Bridge open, and that took them 3 days. We thought it would take longer, but they worked really hard and did that. And then we were able to get Sanibel Causeway at 3 different locations. Once they accepted the job, 7 days later the crews were able to go over on a temporary basis, and then the following week they were able to open it back up for the whole community, which was really good. And so since that time, they are, while it's open and everything, they're also doing permanent repairs to both of those bridges. And so there's not going to be a need, at least none that's foreseen, where any of those would need to be closed for these repairs. They're going to do the repairs alongside of the bridges operating. And so both of those are expected to be done sometime this year for the full repairs. Sanibel probably in the later part of the year. But it was important because I think if you didn't have those emergency repairs and people were severed from the islands for months, which is what some people were saying, and I think the islands would have died. I mean, I really do. So now we know there's still a lot more work to be done, but we're in a much better spot as a result of doing that. They did millions of power restorations, a lot of debris. I mean, I think that the amount of debris was incredible. It was 877,000 cubic yards of debris, including nearly 4,000 items like household appliances that have been washed out of people's homes. And then you had 491,000 cubic yards of debris in the water. And I'll never forget some of the images. You would come and look, and there would be a boat that got moved. I mean, it was in a dock, and it got moved so far away. Debris moved so far away from where it was. It shows you how incredibly strong the storm was. We also had partnering with local sheriff and police departments. We were employing sonar technology to identify items in the waterways. And the total recovery was over 5,600 items, including vessels, vehicles, and other debris that were in the waterways and that have been recovered. So these are things that took a lot of work, and I told Kevin Guthrie, lean in on all this stuff, especially the debris is tough. I mean, a lot of times it takes, incredibly long time, and they were able to do it quicker here. It doesn't happen overnight even here, but still, because it was such a premium, because the more you can get out, the more easier it is to get back to normal. Now, in the 6 months since Ian made landfall, our Division of Emergency Management has secured nearly $800 million in public assistance obligations. And then because of that, we've been able to generate $1 billion in federal resiliency funds. That is the most that the division has ever secured over such a short period of time. There's already been $140 million reimbursed to local communities for debris removal and for emergency protected measures taken in the immediate aftermath of the hurricane. And today, I'm actually happy to be able to announce that we're going to do even more reimbursements. $23.2 million reimbursement for Collier County has just been approved, as well as $31.9 million reimbursement for Lee County. $2.4 million for the city of Sanibel, $14.2 million for the city of Fort Myers, and $7.6 million for Fort Myers Beach. So that's going to help them with getting those reimbursements back. We've also opened the Emergency Bridge Loan Program through the Department of Economic Opportunity. We've done close to $40 million in loans for more than 900 businesses to bridge the gap while they awaited federal programs or insurance, as ever the case may be. We also had a situation where people were displaced with their homes, and FEMA does have a housing program. You know, that takes a little longer. There's sometimes a lot of red tape. Kevin Guthrie was working with them to try to bring as much online as possible. There's also kind of the preference of having more like these RV cities rather than putting the trailers on people's property. So we believe that we needed to spring into action. And so Florida we're the first state that's ever launched a state funded housing initiative. And so as of today, Florida has been able to provide 504 impacted families with travel trailers. FEMA has provided 460 families with travel trailers. And so this is, even though that's something FEMA typically does, we've taken the reins, and we've actually done more travel trailers than they have. What we're also able to do, and they're working to do even more, what we've also done is making home repairs through our state-led Sheltering and Home for Recovery Continuation Program. We established that because some of the federal assistance that we sought for home repairs was denied. And so we didn't want to just sit back. We wanted to see what we could do. So we've had that program use volunteer organizations and private partners like Home Depot. They've done over 140 work orders so far that are in the process, and that's over $1 million in repairs there. And then they have projects that are underway. So this is taking kind of private sector, harnessing that. States put up money. Disaster Fund has put up money, and we're trying to help people fix their homes as quickly as possible. My wife, the First Lady, she's raised about $64 million so far for the Florida Disaster Fund, and not everything fits into some type of government program. Not everyone's insurance policy covers everything that you need to have covered, and so we understand that there's going to be needs. And so the Disaster Fund's awarded $46 million from the fund so far, and that's done a lot of things. I mean, when the first responders that got displaced, we were able to give to those charitable organizations to help them, teachers, a whole bunch of people we've been able to help to do that. And so we wanted to keep the momentum going on that issue as well. So I'm pleased to be able to announce today 2 additional awards from the Florida Disaster Fund to support small businesses impacted by Hurricane Ian. First, we're awarding $3 million to the nonprofit arm of the Florida Restaurant and Lodging Association to expand their ability to provide economic relief to hospitality-based businesses that were impacted by the storm. And those funds can be used to offset costs of reopening and to support their employees who have been impacted by the storm. We're also committing up to $4 million from the Florida Disaster Fund to create a new small business recovery impact program to support additional small businesses outside of the hospitality sector that have been unable to reopen due to a lack of capital. Small businesses will be eligible up to $50,000 grants to support their employees and help to reopen while they await their insurance payments or federal reimbursement for things like equipment, drywall, and commodities. And so these investments will help local businesses as well as the local economy get back on track. So we're happy to be able to continue to be in this fight. We understand that there's going to be a lot that needs to be done going forward, and I just want to thank everybody for working hard. Our state apparatus has really worked exemplary to be very aggressive. So a lot of the things I've outlined in here, if you were in another state, they would not have been doing any of this. I mean, that's just the reality. You know, we're taking responsibility, and we want to make sure we're doing what we now. It helps that we have the biggest budget surplus in the history of the state, and that's because the state's done well, and the state's been open, and we've really been able to thrive. But we're really leaning in. And, we want the federal government to help whoever, needs individual assistance, all that, but we're not going to be limited by that. And we're going to make sure that we're finding ways to be able to help. And so the fact that we've done more travel trailers in this new state program, which no state has ever done, than FEMA has done, and this is kind of their bread and butter, it shows you these guys are really working hard on your behalf. And so I want to recognize Kevin Guthrie's work and the division, and he's going to come up here and say a few things.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today. I've said numerous times before that, the division has done a fantastic job. The State Emergency Response Team and its 20-something agencies and partners like the one that was mentioned here today, the Florida Restaurant and Lodging Association, Carol Dover and her team are really, really good partners for us. But it starts at the top, and that's the leadership that we have in our Governor Ron DeSantis. I cannot do anything if I did not have his support. And that support has been overwhelming from day one, even before the storm, 4 days before that, doing what no other governor would probably do, and that's issuing an executive order to say, we're going to be ready. We are not going to fail at power. We're not going to fail at food. We're not going to fail at fuel. We're going to be there ready to respond to the citizens in Southwest Florida. So again, Governor, thank you very much for that leadership. As we all know, Hurricane Ian made landfall nearly 6 months ago on September 28th as a dangerous Category 4 storm, bringing strong winds, heavy rainfall, and probably the most significant storm surge that Florida has ever seen across the state. The division was able to execute our fastest response ever, again, as I just mentioned, due to Governor DeSantis' leadership. We were able to cut through red tape like we've never done before, working in partnership with our state agencies and our federal partners. We were able to implement some innovative solutions to ease the recovery process and speed things up. The process may take years to complete, and it will have multiple phases. But as the governor has promised, and I have promised, we will continue to be alongside the residents of Southwest Florida every step of the way. Even to the fact, I know many of you know this person's name, Glenn Hammers. He has now moved to Fort Myers. He considers you guys family, and he has moved from the Panhandle and taken a job down here as our recovery coordinator. So really want to thank Glenn for all of his work down here in Southwest Florida. Today I'm going to be asking the Federal Emergency Management Administration, as well as the White House. The division is going to be requesting a 60-day extension of the 180-day period of performance work under the Disaster Recovery Reform Act of 2018. Now, that's an awful lot of federal and state government gobbledygook to say this. Communities are having problems with permitting right now, and communities need assistance with bandwidth on that permitting. FEMA has a program called 1206 that allows us to put private sector type permit inspectors in to help out with the need that's there. That is coming to an end on March the 28th, but there is a great need. So we're going to ask FEMA and the White House to extend that for another 60 days, or at least negotiate with us that we may be able to slide the 180-day time backwards to when we actually started issuing permits. If approved, this extension will restore work days at the beginning of the disaster that we were not available to go ahead and do that, and it would benefit areas such as Fort Myers Beach, Lee County, Sanibel, Captiva. From October 31st of 2022, to put this in perspective, from October 31, 2022 to February 15, 2023, the town of Fort Myers Beach alone has issued 10,619 permits. I believe their average is about 2,000 per year, and they did that just in about 4 months. On public assistance, as the governor's already talked about debris, as of today, we have nearly 1,000 public assistance applicants. These are cities and county governments that are going to submit nearly 9,000 projects. The governor has already talked about the money that we've pushed out, but that money has gone out faster than any other disaster in the state of Florida. We had $500 million pushed out before we ever got to the 90-day limit. So again, or I should say 90-day limit, the first 90 days. So we're very, very happy about the team in Tallahassee and abroad that has been helping us get that done. Now, let's talk about debris, because I know that a lot of people have concerns about debris in Fort Myers and in Lee County in general. The due date for right-of-way pickup is March 29th. Now, I want to talk about that for just a second because there's a lot of confusion and people are running out trying to get all their debris to the right-of-way. What we're talking about on right-of-way debris is if you can pick it up with your hands, maybe a wheelbarrow, a shovel, that's what we need to the right-of-way. But if you're in need of that bigger, heavier assistance, you need to go to iandebriscleanup.com and register for that. To date, 3,996 individuals have registered for that assistance. If you need help with that heavy stuff, please get a hold of us, iandebriscleanup.com. We've completed 1,650 work orders of the nearly 4,000. We've removed 282 of 344 vessels. 100% of the shrimp trawlers are back in Estero Bay today. Again. And again, that was because of this man's leadership. He said we are going to do that, and we got it done. So I'm very happy to say that that work was completed this week. And the last stat that I have is 490,000 cubic yards of wet debris have been removed in Lee County. That's now at 84% complete of wet debris getting out of your canals, out of your rivers, out of the bay. We are 84% complete. We're looking to get that done in probably early summer, midsummer. So we are very happy. And we will always continue to support Southwest Florida. I will be back after session. I'll be back down here quite a bit. And for all of the information that we talked about today, you can certainly follow us online at floridadisaster.org, as well as the division's social media pages, which are at FLSERT, Florida CERT. Thank you.
And we're happy to see Kevin leaning in. I mean, some of this stuff, it's like, you know, with these bridges, you know, we do it. We're eligible for reimbursement potentially, but it's not guaranteed. And so, you know, it's like, you know what, I'll pay for it. I mean, like, we're going to try to get reimbursed for doing the bridges, but at the end of the day, you know, I think sometimes there's a tendency to just kind of wait and like figure out, like, am I definitely going to get approved to do this and all that? And meanwhile, people don't, you know, they don't have the support. So we just say, let's just do it and we'll figure it out on the back end. And I think we should get reimbursed by it. But at the end of the day, I think that's a risk that we were willing to take. Okay, Byron Donalds.
Well, first and foremost, Governor, I want to thank you for your leadership in this. It is very easy to say that you'll stay here when the cameras are gone, but you and your team, led by Kevin Guthrie, have been here every step of the way. So on behalf of the residents of Southwest Florida, we greatly appreciate your leadership here. A couple things. First, let's talk a little bit about what's happening federally, or let me say it better, what's not happening federally. There are provisions in the IRS code that should have been in place under Speaker Pelosi's leadership. She did not do that. And so myself and Senator Scott are now leading legislation to put back in the federal tax treatment for those who are trying to recover from disasters. We have filed that bill in both chambers. We're getting great responses from the relevant committee chairman in the House and the Senate. We think the prospects are good for getting that tax treatment put back into place, which Speaker Pelosi let slide out of place, so that the people can actually get the tax treatments from the IRS they're supposed to be getting, not just here in Southwest Florida, but all of the affected areas throughout the United States over the last 12 months. So that's something that we're working on at the federal level. Here locally, working with Mayor Smith, we were able to do what we could to get the post office back open down on Sanibel. That's stuff we've been doing at the federal level. But now let's talk about FEMA. Director Guthrie, I thank you for all of your hard work, and Governor, again, I thank you for all of yours. But there are still roughly 1,400 people who are displaced with respect to Hurricane Ian. And FEMA has been very, very slow, if not tepid, in their response to housing. Now, their big argument that they like to make is that, well, a lot of the affected area are in flood zones and they don't put trailers in the flood zones. But this is not a normal situation. This is an emergency situation. This is a recovery situation. I've had a very candid conversation with FEMA, and I'm having now a very public declaration towards FEMA to cut the red tape, to get people the housing that they need immediately. They shouldn't have to wait another 90 to 120 days. This is their estimate, not mine. They should not have to wait another 90 to 120 days to be able to get the housing that they so desperately need. We have about 200 residents who are now out of the area completely simply because FEMA has not been able to respond to their needs as effectively as possible. So all told, the full number of displaced is around 1,500 to 1,600 residents throughout Southwest Florida. Enough is enough. I mean, we know we live in a flood zone. I mean, guess what? It's Southwest Florida. I mean, look behind you. We get that. But when people need help, they need help. We can easily move a trailer out of the area, FEMA, if we see a storm coming. We can do that. Heck, we built a bridge in 3 days. You think we can move trailers out of the area? So it's time that FEMA just steps up, gets through the red tape, and we get down to business of getting people the homes that they need. And FEMA can do that. The White House can do that by just waiving the rules and getting the job done. So I'm calling on them to do exactly that. Second thing, and Kevin Guthrie actually alluded to it, is the sliding scale of 60 days to allow the inspectors that the state of Florida has brought forth to help our municipalities get back on their feet as quickly as possible. Yeah, we need FEMA to go ahead and do that too. We need the White House to approve that extension or that waiving of the rules, however you want to phrase it. Let's just get the job done. But we've also told FEMA that they were giving us one inspector a week. That's just simply not good enough. We have an area trying to get back on its feet. And so what they should be doing is requisiting whatever private assets necessary to bring private inspectors in so we can get our communities back on track. Look, there's a lot of hard work that's going to come through rebuilding. We all know this. Some of our areas are going to take a lot of time. We also know this. But what we don't need is a federal government that is standing behind red tape and regulatory policy and not just doing what needs to be done so that you guys, the people of Southwest Florida, can get things moving again. And so I'm asking for the White House and FEMA to just get out of the way of the silly stuff and the red tape. Let's just get the job done. You've seen a blueprint for it here in Florida with Governor DeSantis and his leadership. This is about people, not politics and not budgets. Obviously, Washington does not have a problem spending money. I've seen that. But that's what we need to get the job done. And so that's what I'm asking for FEMA and the White House to do. Governor, once again, thank you so much for your leadership here in Southwest Florida. Thank you.
Come on up. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's an honor to meet you, Governor.
Pleasure's mine.
Well, I'm not a public speaker, but I'm just a Sanibel resident. I'm a small business owner, and I have a business called Bleu Rendezvous French Bistro with my French husband, who's a U.S. citizen, Christian Vivet. And my name is Mari Vivet. I'm from Fort Myers. I'm a native, multi-generational Floridian. And I believe in Florida, and I am so thankful to this governor who gave us a bridge back to my home. Our home was damaged, very damaged, but luckily it was a still home, and I did happen to be one of those that hunkered down and stayed on the island. I regret that, and I will not do that again on a barrier island. And my husband was in France at the time, so I was alone with my dog, and we survived, and we're warriors. I've not got PTSD. I'm stronger, I think, from everything that I've gone through. But we lost our restaurant due to the hurricane. And I went over there. The floor was as slippery as ice. It was just monumental. It was a cataclysmic event, the biggest event of my life. That I've never seen water like this. They always talk about storm surge, but it doesn't happen a whole lot. And this time it did. I had 8 feet at my house, 4 feet at the restaurant. Waded through it, got a little toe infection, but it's okay now. And anyway, the restaurant was destroyed, and we had damage, and we lost our cars and our camper. We're campers. We usually take the summer off and go camping. And we didn't know where to start. I was feeling a little hopeless, and so managed to get off the island, evacuate. My insurance man, Brian Chapman, took me in until my husband got back from France. He's got 5 kids and a dog, and I stayed with them, and they made me feel safe because I wasn't feeling so safe on the island. And being cut off from your home and not having a vehicle, it was, you kind of hit bottom a little bit. But The bridge meant everything to us. The government helped us so much, the Florida government, to rebuild. And we have not gotten anything from FEMA, but we hope to get something from the government or the Florida Restaurant and Hotel Association. We've applied for every loan, every grant there is, but hoping that someone will help us at some point. But the good news is we found a new location. It's a very tiny place on Tarpon Bay Road, right around the corner from our old bistro. And we opened a week and a half ago, and we're very blessed. And we realized that it's not about the building. It's about the people. And this governor has really thought of us and remembered us. We're still going through this. We're not done yet. But he's remembered the people and what they represent. And we're just so thankful to you. We're thankful to the Sanibel Captiva Chamber of Commerce, our mayor, Holly Smith. She was there. She was there the whole time. So thank you all for coming today, and thank you for inviting me.
Do you have a website?
I sure do.
Give it.
Oh, yeah, but it's hard to spell, everyone. Blue Rendezvous. It's BLEU, the French spelling of blue. Rendezvous at bluerendezvous.com. So please look us up and please visit us sometime.
Right.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Governor.
So bluerendezvous.com. Everybody out there, just you're in Southwest Florida, go across the nice rebuilt causeway and go get some good French food. Okay, Stanley, come on up.
Good morning. I'm a little overwhelmed being here today. This isn't my type of gig, but my story is like everybody else. First, I want to thank the governor. I'm one of the 500 trailers that I got. I don't know how I got it. I feel special because of it. It changed my life. I, like Mari and a lot of people in this room, I lost everything except the car and some clothes that I evacuated with. I lost a business. My business wasn't structured to make money. It was more of a patriotic thing. I put out flags on 6 holidays a year plus 9/11, charge a minimal amount. But I lost my truck, and I don't put those flags out anymore. I'd like to do it again. But I would be remiss if I didn't echo Congressman Donald's remarks about FEMA. I could go on all day. I won't. But what I see a need for around here is we seem to be forgotten already. Hurricane Ian is fading. If you go to the FEMA website, Lee County's not even listed on the front page anymore. You have to go down to a special link. Don't let them forget us. We need it bad. I get choked up with the help that you gave, Governor. My brother doesn't have a place to stay. He's one of the persons that have left. And I don't live on the beach. I live off the beach, but I had water over my sliding doors. There's people that have it much worse than us. And when you hear about hurricanes, you hear about Katrina. Okay, you don't hear about Ian anymore. And Fort Myers Beach is being left off. So thank you for thinking of us. Thank you for the trailer. I don't know how I got it, but it changed my life. It gives me a home place. I haven't gotten choked up over this storm except for the people that have helped me. And there's been a handful of people that have helped me. Kay has been an angel. She allowed me to stay at her house. I refer to you as Governor DeSantis now because of my trailer. And I can't appreciate you more. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks so much. Yeah, thank you. Well, we always said that there was a media attention for this storm for a little while. They lost interest after 4 or 5 days. I think it was just they were trying to find something negative, and there was a lot of people banding together and really showing great resiliency. And so the story wasn't as good for some of the national folks, but we understood that the needs don't go away just because some of those folks lose interest. And so we've been working really hard, and we're going to continue to do it. We know there's more to do, and I think that with people like Byron fighting at the federal level to try to get FEMA in better shape and more responsive, I think that that's going to to be something that's going to be very, very positive. So, okay, Dave.
Governor, this is a two-pronged question. You know, tens of thousands of people have either been canceled, they're losing their home insurance, they can't find insurance. Many people that we've talked to the last couple of days have said they're afraid they're going to have to put their home up for sale. Some have said that the state needs to do more. Can you tell us what's being done this session, what you hope to accomplish to help people? And then just finally, the second part, people have told us yesterday they hate to see their chances of suing an insurance company when they can't get results lessened.
So here's what they're doing. So the reports of people getting shortchanged or getting unlawfully dropped because someone was looking to make more money, the Insurance Regulation Office is investigating that. The Chief Financial Officer is investigating that, and I think anyone should be held accountable who is not meeting their obligations that they owe to their folks. In terms of this upcoming legislative session, I'm open to do whatever we need to do to continue to work on the problem. I mean, as you know, we had a lot of companies that have been going out of business for a long time. No one wanted to come here and do business in Florida. I think we've changed that in going in the right direction. There's been a positive response, but part of it is you police this stuff, which you got to do. But when your market was so bad, you didn't have as many reputable companies that wanted to be in here, and so I think we've done a lot to change it. But yes, they need to be held accountable, and I know that they're going to be aggressively doing it. Some of our reforms actually did beef up what the Office of Insurance Regulation can do. If there's more to be done, then we absolutely should do that. Yes.
Hi, my question is for Kevin Guthrie.
Okay.
Hi there. So is the red tide shrimp boat off Main Street on Fort Myers Beach, which is currently being placed back into the water right now, truly the last shrimp boat left being placed into the water?
Yeah, the question centered around the red tide shrimp boat, or I think it might have actually been the rip tide shrimp boat. It has been placed back on the water. My understanding was placed back on the water about 24 to 36 hours ago, and that is the last of them. There were a couple of boats that were under litigation. Those have been taken care of now. I think we originally got about 42 boats that needed some type of final disposition. 36 of those have been put back on the water. Those remaining 6 were tied up in some type of litigation, and the litigation chose to go ahead and have those boats destroyed. So everything that we have been asked to take care of as far as the shrimp boats and the shrimp trawlers has been done, and that mission was 100% successfully completed this week.
Yes.
Governor, outside of the president's initial visit to Fort Myers, the area after the hurricane, you stood with him then. Has he been open to you? Has his administration spoke out to you about what they're doing subsequently to help the recovery efforts, or is he just pretty much forgotten about, like many things, forgotten about Florida?
Kevin, I mean, have you had what's in your? I have not spoken with him since that day.
So obviously I don't talk to the President of the United States, but I will tell you with FEMA, I have open, honest conversation quite a bit. There's a lot that, FEMA and I disagree on, and it's okay to disagree, but at the same time, we have those open, honest conversations. One of the examples is this today when we send a letter. We want to work within the parameters of the rules. We understand there's got to be rules and regulations. We want to cut through the red tape of it, and we're just asking for 60 days. But if we just back the start date up 60 days, in this case that we're talking about today, we'll be able to meet everybody's needs. So we're working within the rules and within the law, just changing that time frame. So for us, I've had really good interaction, as I mentioned, with the governor in the past. We had a rear admiral from the Coast Guard that was embedded with us at the EOC. We had, our partners at the National Hurricane Center, National Weather Service, continue to be excellent partners, and FEMA Regional Administrator Gracia Check, as well as Associate Administrator Ann Bink, and numerous people at FEMA headquarters have certainly helped us with everything that they can. There are some hang-ups, and there's going to be some things we disagree about, but overall it's been a supportive environment.
And hopefully some of these other things can get ironed out. I mean, to have a travel trailer on somebody's property and to say you can't do because it's a flood zone, well, I mean, yeah, I get it can flood, but you usually have a little bit of notice on that, and you're able to move it out of there. And just the chance of us seeing what we just saw previously. I mean, it's probably not going to happen next week, right? So some you just need a little bit of common sense, I think, on some of this stuff. And I get there's a lot of federal rules and regulations, but I think what we've just tried to do as the state level is just kind of cut through the morass and the bureaucracy and to just try to act. And there may be times when you do something and then you say, well, wait, maybe we should have done it a different way. Then you just adjust. I'd say most of the things we did have stuck pretty good, but that's just, and I think kind of the culture at the federal level is always just, something happens, the bureaucracy just kind of grabs and then it just plods along and it's just harder to get the quick results.
Governor, I know Citizens is getting filled up, but do you think there's more the state can do? Because some folks at Citizens trying to get into Citizens can't because they still have repairs that need to be done on their home.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, look, I'd be willing to look at that for sure. I mean, I think as most people know, I mean, Citizens is has not been solvent. If you did have a major hurricane hit with a lot of Citizens property holders, it would not have enough to pay out. And the problem with that is, one, just people that have a policy, of course, would be told that they wouldn't be able to get what they need. But in the law, and this is not anything I did, Citizens has mandatory assessment authority for all policies in Florida. So you could be here, have no relation with Citizens. They could potentially assess your auto insurance policy. They could assess your homeowners different from Citizen. They could assess your renter's insurance policy if you had, a major capsize. And so there's been efforts to try to get Citizens on a little bit more secure financial footing. Obviously, you have to have private market as well. But we also understand that there are times, given all the discombobulations that we've seen really over 20 years with this market, as much attention as we've done, and we've done 3 major bills in the last less than 2 years, and we may do more this session, and that's important, and we'll do it. That doesn't, the change has just happened overnight. I mean, these are things that have happened over many years and even decades. So if there are people that are falling through the cracks, the legislature wants to address. I mean, I think that's something that's appropriate. So, well, we'll be back down here. Maybe we'll go to the French bistro at some point and see what's your specialty. Like, if someone goes, what would you tell them to get?
Great bouillabaisse.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Good. All right. Well, we look forward to doing that and look forward to, and Sanibel, are they going to be, I guess you want to get like permits to start rebuilding some of the hotels and stuff?
Yeah, we're working with people right now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of activity. Thank you.
Yeah. Now, look, I think it's going to be, I think you never want to have to go through this. It's long, it's tough, but I tell you, this area is moving quicker than any area we've had probably in a major hurricane. And, well, we were doing our part, but I think a lot of people here have just handled it well because it's frustrating. I mean, when these things happen, you see people lose everything, and what I've just seen over and over again is just, a sense of, we're not gonna let this beat us, a big sense of resiliency, and a lot of community banding together. And that's important because these things, when you have just morale goes in the tank and people feel hopeless, it makes it so much different. And one of the things that I told Kevin is, like, when we're doing this stuff, people see power getting back on. They see the roads being cleared. Obviously, the bridges were a great thing because it just felt like things were moving forward. Really, really important. But you never want to have these things happen. But I think this community has probably responded, as strong as can be expected. And I just think that means there's a lot of great days ahead. Heck, people are still coming down here. I mean, even having this, they're still coming down here, and they're still enjoying it because it's such a beautiful place to be. So we look forward to be back very, very soon. God bless everyone. Thank you.